This is Rosa DeLauro, the Democrat Congresswoman from Connecticut's 3rd District. Recently, during a House Appropriations Committee hearing, she had a heated exchange with HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr.
On March 15th, the FDA recommended that Raw Farm voluntary recall its cheddar cheese made from raw milk linked to E. coli contamination. April 2nd, after 18 days, company finally initiated voluntary recall, but only, quote, under protest.
Yes, because the company, Raw Farm, was very reluctant to do a recall, and some might say, for good reason. According to initial reporting about the recall by the New York Times, the FDA said it was not aware of Raw Farm cheese that had tested positive for E. coli.
18 days. 18 days. 9 people sick and 3 hospitalizations, 1 case of serious kidney condition, more than half the cases involving children 3 or younger.
According to the FDA, the 9 cases occurred between September 1st, 2025 and February 20th, 2026. That's a 5.5-month period. And in reporting by the Times, the FDA interviewed 8 of the infected people or their caregivers in the case of young children, and all reported consuming raw dairy products. 1 person did not know the brand, and the other 7 reported consuming Raw Farm products, including raw milk and cheddar cheese. So, not sure how someone can get E. coli from a brand of food that they'd never heard of, but okay.
The FDA's initial outbreak alert, the agency stated that they were, quote, providing information to consumers and retailers so they are aware of this outbreak before deciding to eat Raw Farm brand cheddar cheeses or to serve it to children.
Yes, because during the FDA's investigation, there was no direct evidence that the E. coli came from a Raw Farms product. When Raw Farms initiated their voluntary recall on April 2nd, the FDA had not found any samples from the company that were positive for E. coli. But 2 weeks after the recall, that would change. Sorta. The agency collected and analyzed 19 samples of Raw Farm brand raw cheddar cheese products. 1 sample of their cheddar cheese tested positive for E. coli. However, the raw cheddar cheese that tested positive for E. coli was not shipped to stores and was not available for sale. FDA conducted further testing and analysis through whole genome sequencing or DNA fingerprinting. This showed that the strain of E. coli found in the cheese is a different strain than the E. coli in the current outbreak. And this is why the under protest language was used in regards to the recall, because there is no direct evidence that Raw Farm cheddar cheese products shipped to retailers was the cause of the current outbreak.
Usually the alert says, consumers, retailers, it's a quote, should not eat, sell, or serve. Or consumers should check their homes for recalled products and throw those products away. That wasn't there. I quite frankly, never have seen anything like this with regard to roll call.
That is a lie. When the recall was initiated, the FDA updated their investigation page, stating, do not eat, sell, or serve recalled Raw Farm brand raw cheddar cheese. And days prior to the recall, the FDA was basically saying the same thing. But Congresswoman DeLauro is acting like the FDA completely ignored the issue and that there was like some kind of cover-up. Now, it should be noted that the last time the FDA investigated an E. coli outbreak related to raw milk was 2024, and it happened to be for raw cheddar cheese products from Raw Farms. In response to that investigation, Raw Farms immediately initiated a recall of certain lots of their raw cheddar cheese. But ultimately, the FDA said that as part of this investigation, officials in Colorado, California, and Utah collected various Raw Farm brand products for testing, and all samples were negative for E. coli. So the last time the FDA sounded the alarm on Raw Farm, the company played nice and pulled their products. The FDA ultimately found exactly 0 E. coli in the collected retail samples. The owner of Raw Farm told the New York Times that it estimated that the current recall included 170,000 pounds of cheese valued at approximately $1.5 million. So the company is going to lose $1.5 million over 9 cases of E. coli spread across a 5.5-month period, even though there is no direct evidence that these people caught E. coli from raw farm products. And they probably lost around the same amount from the previous recall, so one could understand if the company's pissed. But of course, the actual timeline of the FDA's investigation and the complete lack of hard evidence implicating Raw Farm didn't matter, because Congresswoman DeLauro had her talking points printed out, and she was going to use them to paint RFK Jr. as some sort of raw dairy radical.
Now, I know, Mr. Secretary, that you have been a staunch advocate of raw milk, positioning it as a, quote, superfood, a key element of Make America Healthy Again. Talk about it reducing chronic disease.
But according to my research, RFK Jr. has never made any of those claims. He certainly advocates for food freedom, but putting air quotes around phrases that he never actually said, it's just dishonest political theater. And it's almost like she's reading from a script prepared by an intern who spent like 5 minutes on Google trying to make him look like a cartoon villain.
You described the FDA's aggressive suppression, that's a quote, of natural unprocessed foods. You said that you've drinking it yourself, despite federal health agencies' warning of safety risks. And you're a longtime promoter of raw milk and a customer of Raw Farm.
Yeah, because it's not illegal for a private citizen to legally purchase a legal product in their own state. But watch how she tries to twist a personal consumer preference into some sprawling federal conspiracy.
I just have to ask these questions. Mr. Secretary, did you or other senior officials exert any influence in the way the FDA alerted consumers about this outbreak?
I agree with you that the behavior of the company during the outbreak was unprecedented. We immediately told them that they needed to do a recall. In virtually every case, that recall happens voluntarily and immediately. But there was foot dragging they initially refused, and we put tremendous pressure on them and told them that we were doing a forcible recall, and finally they complied.
Wait, I thought that the main premise of DeLauro's interrogation was that RFK Jr. was shielding his raw dairy buddies from federal oversight. He just explicitly stated that his agency threatened a forcible recall because the company was dragging its feet. He is actively dismantling her entire narrative in real time.
Did the FDA refuse to use its mandatory recall?
We were going to do it. But usually we don't have to. In virtually every case,
right, we should use it
the
more
company
often
steps up and voluntarily removes it. And this company was intransigent, let me put it that way.
RFK Jr. is admitting that the FDA was ready to bring down the hammer and force a mandatory recall. You'd think that DeLauro would be absolutely thrilled to hear about the federal government threatening to crush a private business before they even had hard evidence of contamination. I mean, isn't massive government overreach the Democrats' favorite pastime? But instead, DeLauro is so committed to the bit, so completely glued to her pre-written gotcha questions, that she just ignores RFK's answer and pivots right back to the raw milk is evil talking points.
Mm-hmm. Having said what I said and what your view is on raw milk, unpasteurized milk. And the FDA's website says raw milk, unpasteurized milk can harbor dangerous germs that can pose serious health risks to you and your family. You have your own personal views about raw milk. They cannot be part of a health protocol.
Raw milk is not regulated by the federal government.
Unpasteurized milk.
Yeah, it's regulated by the states. It's not regulated by us.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can
legalize
it within their borders.
We don't regulate it. FDA does not regulate it. It's regulated by the states.
It can't be circulated across
some states allow
lines.
it, some states do not. It's up to the state. It's not up to us.
Well,
exactly. The federal government does not have a magic wand to outlaw raw milk nationwide just because Rosa DeLauro doesn't like it.
You are the head of the Health and Human Services. If raw milk has the ability to put 9 people into the hospital, serious kidney disease, more than half the cases involving children 3 years and younger, you are the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Is there not some moral responsibility or compunction to say, don't drink raw milk? Don't do that, because it's unpasteurized and it can cause you serious harm to your health.
Gee, Congresswoman, what happened to my body, my choice? But let's be real here. The only reason that this witch is acting like raw milk is the equivalent of weapons-grade plutonium is because RFK Jr. likes raw milk. And that's it.
You just pointed out that processed cheese can also contain contaminants. Every product can contain contaminants. What we do is we inform the public, and we let people make a choice.
The chairman is gaveling
also
me down, and just to say this, if I were the head of HHS, I would, by God, say, don't take raw milk. It is dangerous to your health. And if you can't say that, well, maybe there's some other conclusions that can be drawn.
Ah, some other conclusions. The classic politician's translation for, I have absolutely no evidence of wrongdoing, but I'm gonna vaguely imply something corrupt is happening anyway. Heaven forbid that an agency head believes that adult Americans are capable of reading a warning label and weighing the risks and deciding what cheese to put in their own crackers, but that the federal government holding their hand. The absolute horror. Anyway, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. If there is next time.